Oftentimes, when the Premier League has a match week of action on the eve of an international break, the play oftentimes seems to be more exciting. And I thought that was the case this weekend. Some truly wonderful games took place in the Premier League, so now it's time to run through them. And the first one that took place on Saturday between Burnley and Crystal Palace at the Turf Moor certainly did not disappoint. I mean, for those who were watching, they were in for a treat. Sam Vokes got the scoring started off early on in the second minute, and Johan Goodmanson scored in the 14th to give the hosts an early lead. However, Crystal Palace fought back, getting goals from both their strikers, Connor Wickham and then Christian Benteke from the penalty spot. But in stoppage time, the most exciting of goals, the stoppage time winners, well, that's what happened here. Ashley Barnes scoring for Burnley in the fourth minute of stoppage time at the death. Burnley picking up 3 points. A huge result for them. You got to be thinking with the way things are going for Burnley that they should be able to play their way into staying in the top flight and maybe even not even having to sweat out a relegation battle altogether. Meanwhile, Manchester City playing at home at the Etihad because let's face it, they don't get fan support. Manchester City just doesn't have that many fans. They were not supported, and they did not get the result Pep Guardiola was hoping for. A 1-1 draw. Really, Manchester City outplayed Borough. They outshot them 25-5. Had twice as many shots on goal as well, and had 71% possession. So, for Man City to not only drop 2 points, but to do so in stoppage time, it's a terrible result for them. Really, Pep Guardiola has to be furious with the way things are going after such a fantastic start to the season. But Man City starting hot and then fizzling out seems like it's a familiar script regardless of who the manager is. So, later on Saturday we had West Ham taking on Stoke City. Both those two teams playing to a 1-1 draw. I'd say that's probably about a fair result. Two squads that you would expect to finish middle of the table, not contend for Europe, but also not have to face any relegation worries. Glenn Whelan had an own goal in the 65th. Meanwhile, Bojan Krkic scored in the 75th to rescue a point for the Potters at the Olympic Stadium. I mentioned it before. It's been a rough transition for West Ham into the Olympic Stadium, and Slaven Bilic perhaps needs to address that. Now, perhaps the most surprising of results on Saturday was Sunderland picking up their first win of the season through 10 games. Was the worst team in Premier League history, only getting 2 points out of all those games. Finally, hallelujah, the Black Cats pick up 3 points. They did it against Bournemouth on the road, and they did it a man down. Stephen Pienaar had 2 yellow cards. The second tackle he made was an absolute disgrace. Horrible challenge. Honestly, he should be suspended for more than one match, in my opinion. But, at any rate, Dan Gosling scored for Bournemouth in the 11th minute. Victor Anichebe blasted a goal home in the 33rd and did a great job to earn the penalty kick that Jermaine Defoe converted in the 74th minute. So I'm sure a huge relief for David Moyes. It'll be interesting to see if they can parlay that success beyond the international break. One of the more emphatic wins of the weekend, though, of course, had to be the Chelsea Rent Boys going out to Stamford Bridge and continuing Everton's misery every time they visit them in London. A 5-0 romp, and it could have been a whole lot worse. Eden Hazard was absolutely spectacular in this game. Both his goals, phenomenal. Tremendous play for him. He is back. All the drama and the BS he had to deal with Jose Mourinho, it really looks like he's put it all behind him, and he was just, like I said, fan-freaking-tastic, as was Diego Costa, who scored the 42nd minute, as did Marcos Alonso in the 20th, and then Pedro in the 65th. Just a dreadful day for Everton. Ronald Koeman is going to have to take a step back and evaluate what is it going to take for Everton to compete for a European spot. So on Sunday, plenty of goals in the action as well. The early morning game, for those of you watching like me, stateside, Arsenal, Tottenham, a 1-1 draw. And, you have to say a fair result. Pretty even possession. Tottenham had 54%. Arsenal outshot Tottenham 15-10, but Tottenham had more shots on target. So, for the Spurs, look, they're undefeated, but they are no closer really to a Champions League spot. They have the best center back pairing in the league, undoubtedly, but they're not getting enough goals. Although that being said, I'm sure it was a huge relief to see Harry Kane back and playing, and he scored a penalty kick. While unfortunately for Kevin Wimmer of Spurs, he gave up an own goal following a beautifully delivered cross from Mesut Ozil. One of the more surprising results of the weekend, I would say, was also Hull City beating Southampton 2-1. Did not see that one coming. Southampton seemed on the up and up, while Hull City was really grasping for form. They've gotten it, huge 3 points for them. They are going to be in for a relegation battle, I believe. But, Robert Snodgrass and Michael Dawson scoring 2 minutes apart was enough to, make up for that early goal that they conceded to Charlie Austin. So, a major, major result for Hull, picking up a win at home. Now, the other major blowout from the weekend, other than the Chelsea Red Boys, was Liverpool pounding, destroying, clubbing Watford by a 6-1 margin. The first time Philippe Coutinho, Sadio Mane, and Roberto Firmino have all scored in the same game. Absolutely phenomenal performance from all three of them. That is the best attacking front three in England, hands down. I feel very confident saying that. And Daryl Janmaat scored the consolation goal for Watford, but you also got to give major shout-outs to Gini Wijnaldum scoring his first goal in the red shirt. If you saw his celebration, you could see how much it meant to him. And Emre Can does not score very often, but it seems like he has really added much more of an attacking repertoire to his game. So, just all around terrific result for Liverpool, and we will talk more about what it means for their place in the table. Manchester United finally stopped the bleeding against Swansea. Jose Mourinho, just absolutely dreadful form as of late. But Paul Pogba scoring, for me, the goal of the weekend. Absolutely spectacular volley from outside the box. You really need to see that goal. It was incredible. And Zlatan scoring the 25,000th goal in Premier League history. And, both of his goals were phenomenal. He had gone through the worst goal-scoring dry spell I believe he had ever gone through since 2007. Historically bad for him. So for him to put it behind him, you could tell he was very happy about that. Now, West Bromwich Albion took on Leicester City. They traveled to the King Power Stadium, and they picked up a 2-1 win. Huge result for the Baggies. James Morrison, I believe, is one of the more underrated players in the EPL. He scored in the 52nd minute. Islam Slimani, it seems, can only score goals with his head, but it seems to be good enough. He had a nice headed goal off of an assist from one of my favorite players, Riyad Mahrez, but Matthew Phillips ended up scoring the winner in the 72nd minute. So with that, let's take a quick look at the table. I mentioned it earlier, Liverpool's win was a big deal for many reasons. The biggest being that they are now clear top of the table at 26 points. Chelsea now stands at second with 25. And I think ultimately that's how the league's going to end up happening. Liverpool and Chelsea have a huge advantage not having to play European football. I really think both those teams are going to finish not only in the top four, but 1-2. Manchester City, 24 points, as does Arsenal. Tottenham, a step down at 21 points, although, like I said before, they are undefeated. They just need to quit drawing so very often. Manchester United and Everton each have 18 points. Watford at 8th with 15. Burnley now has 14 points. Like I said, Burnley has been a big surprise this year. Southampton, disappointing for them, having one of the more expensive squads in world football. They're now at 13 points, as are West Brom and Stoke at 13. Bournemouth has 12. Leicester has 12. Gotta wonder when Claudio Ranieri will get the boys to play in the Premier League like they do in the Champions League. Middlesbrough, Crystal Palace, and West Ham each have 11, and in the relegation zone, Hull City with 10 points. Like I said, they have a tough battle. When you pick up 3 points and are still in the relegation zone, you know you have a lot of work to do. However, the teams that seem almost certain to get relegated are Swansea and Sunderland. Of course, early days, so plenty of football left to be played, but both have severe personnel issues that have to be addressed in the January transfer window. So with that, I hope you enjoy the international break and look forward to talking about match week 12 of the Barclays Premier League. But for now, that's a wrap on match week 11.